Have you noticed that you may act differently depending on what situation you're in or the kinds of people around you? Do you behave differently depending on whether you're at home or at work or at college or with friends? The answer to this question is a yes, but given that it is indeed true, how might we try and understand the kind of person we are deep down? Do we even have this sort of deep down self, a true innate self? Well, hello, I'm Merlin the Fox. Well, no, I'm a protogen for now. And today, we'll be delving into the topic of authenticity and whether true authenticity may exist, and perhaps a little bit about sociology, specifically about Charles Cooley's looking glass self, the term dramaturgy, and symbolic interactionism in relation to the idea of the self and how it relates to authenticity. To preface this video, first I'll discuss what I mean by the looking glass self and symbolic interactionism, as these terms may be new to you if you haven't taken a sociology class. These are sociological terms meant to describe how we form our sense of self and our idea or understanding of the world based on social interaction. We look towards others to give us an understanding of how things are. And like I mentioned before in a previous video of mine, which you can go watch here, by the way, if you look at the top right, we're taught what the word blue or what certain things mean based on information given to us by other people. We learn of their meaning, and we learn it from communicating with others, therefore meaning social interaction must be involved. Symbolic interactionism is the term for this concept, that the symbol, the idea, or the meaning of something is passed along to us through social interaction, and it gains its power through socializing with other people. The looking glass self, as coined by Charles Cooley, is essentially taking this concept and applying it to people's opinions of ourselves. If people tell us that we're doing great and spectacularly, we'll be inclined to believe them. The inverse is also true, that if the people around us regularly belittle us or make us think poorly of ourselves, we'll be inclined to think that the kind of person we are is the opinion of that other person or persons. As it relates to authenticity and how you might behave in different environments, let's think of ourselves as having different selves or yous that collectively make up the personality of, well, you. You may act differently depending on where you're at or who you're with. The self that I am presenting myself here right now can be interpreted in various ways depending on who you are and the way that I am currently, well, presenting myself. But this isn't really who I am truly, because this is just me acting on a metaphorical stage, if you will. A relevant sociological topic here is dramaturgy, where basically the expression "all the world's a stage" sums up what it means. When you're with other people, you're putting up some kind of act. This video itself is the stage, and I am the director and actor of the actions that I'm doing right now. I came up with the script, I wrote it, and right now I'm recording myself and vocalizing the words that I currently see on my, screen right now. Well, not like my physical screen, but like virtually, I'm actually capable of seeing my script. And you're the audience. So, to connect this back to authenticity, if all the world's a stage and we theoretically get our sense of self from what others think of us, is there such a thing as being truly authentic? Can we not put up an act and not be an actor? If other people's opinions of us can be dynamically changed depending on the kinds of people we surround ourselves with, how can we know the kind of person that we are deep down? As for, well, a lot of things, I don't know. And that's okay. But here's my personal opinion, I guess. Somewhat of an educated opinion, I don't know. So, I say that we can utilize these sorts of theories and ideas and use them to look at ourselves. That we look at the kinds of environments where we feel we more or less put up an act more than other environments, and look at the kinds of environments where we're more backstage and not necessarily in the limelight, so to say. That we, excuse the bird, that's a parakeet, well, parakeets. That we take a look at the kinds of people around us and the places that we are so that we can inch closer and closer to being backstage and therefore more authentic in a way. So basically, to try and reach a point where we can think more positively of ourselves and use that positivity to better the lives of others, to give other people a boost so that they themselves can also realize and achieve that goal of being more or less in the backstage. To give my take on the questions I asked earlier, I'm going to have to lean towards there being true authenticity, but it kind of requires you to be in the right environment with the right people to make that a possibility. As for what I mean by that, it will entirely depend on who you are as an individual and the kind of person that you are. So, as to whether we have some sort of true or innate self or sense of self, I don't think that that is the case, because if we were to have this sort of innate self that's just constantly present, then how might we explain the other selves that kind of come into existence when we're in a different situation? How can we be the same over a wide variety of different situations, right? How can we be the same sort of person that we are of the one that existed a few years ago, or the one that will be coming in a few years from now? For all of these questions, I'm going to have to say there probably is not a true sense of self. But then, therefore, am I being insincere or lying about the kind of person I am if I'm only really presenting the self that is currently presiding within me as of, like, literally right now? I don't really think so, because if we were to try this example, right? If we were to try and visualize ourselves as Minecraft or Fortnite skins, as funny as that sounds, sure, we may visually appear differently depending on what kind of skin we wear, but our gaming style doesn't change, right? If you're like a good builder in Minecraft, it doesn't matter what kind of skin you wear. If you know how to shoot your shots in, like, I don't know, Fortnite or some other FPS, it doesn't necessarily matter what kind of class or what kind of character you are in game, like what character model you are, for you can still, shoot and get some good headshots. But then you may ask, well, okay, there is still some kind of constant that still exists in both scenarios, right? You being a good builder is somebody that knows how to land headshots, right? That still persists regardless of what skin you get. So then, therefore, that must be a permanent trait, right? But I mean, I think that's a good question. But I'd argue that it wouldn't necessarily be possible to have those sorts of traits permanently. If you're a good builder, you need the materials that you need to build whatever you need to build, assuming this is, survival mode Minecraft. And there will be days where you might not be able to play. If you're a good shooter, sure, you can aim well, but if you're in a laggy server, or like you're playing with people that have faster reaction times and aim than you, then in that scenario, you're not a good shooter, I guess, in relation to the other players. That is to say, these qualities are dynamic and can change or just change in meaning depending on what else happens in the world. So, in conclusion, I asked whether true authenticity exists and spoke a little bit about some sociological theories and ideas. My answer is that true authenticity can exist, but it requires special circumstances for it to manifest. I also asked if it were possible to not put up a metaphorical act for others, and at least right now, I think it is possible to manifest this idea of the backstage, as in, not acting in whatever environment, but just like my answer to whether true authenticity exists, I think it requires special circumstances, at least when it comes to yourself in relation to other people. And with that, that was me, Merlin the Fox, saying my thoughts. And we shall see each other once again in the future, probably. And if you want, you could leave a like, you could comment, you could subscribe, whatever you want to do. Or share it with other people, whatever you want to do. And that was me, and goodbye.